A very good Thursday morning to everyone out there. Landon Hampton here in the driver's seat with you, bringing you your latest weather and not forecast courtesy of Ohio Valley Insurance. We're right back on the wild Kentucky weather train for another potential impactful winter weather maker right here on the horizon. We can take a look here over the latest surface map along with the latest satellite overlay to take a look at what's next in line for us. We got a nice little deck of cloud cover that's currently already increased here across the region. It's right over here in Bowling Green where we're at in the surrounding community. We are watching two weather makers, folks, as we work throughout the day. We got this southern stream that's going to be bowing up out of the panhandle of Texas, already trucking our way. We got a secondary piece of energy in the form of a clipper that's going to be diving in out of the north and west. We could be looking at a 1 and 2 shot coming along with this. This will be beginning, it would appear, this afternoon, continuing all the way through our Friday morning as well. Let's get a look over the WABBLES region, shall we? Sexton Bill Builder Skycam still showing a really nice snowpack down around Gold City this morning. Looks like the majority of the roadways are clear down in that direction. Be aware of slick spots. Those will be a guarantee, especially on some of the county side roads, secondary routes as well. All the sunshine yesterday, able to make a whole lot of headway on those primary routes. Beechtree News Skycam showcasing clouds already moving in over in that direction up in Morgantown as well. Looks like the bank and surrounding areas got the parking lots cleared off yesterday as well. Able to make headway in that direction. And taking a look at the temperatures, no surprise here, folks, still freezing cold. We will have the opportunity today, silver lining, we will be up above freezing for the first time since Saturday, January the 13th. So we'll be rolling on into day 5 or 6 here, not seeing temperatures above freezing. Do think we will hit that this afternoon, but it will be somewhat of a close call. Getting a look out here at the surface map, you can see where the focus is located, and that's right across our area and bowing up to the north and east as well. For the potential winter weather maker, along with another winter weather maker that's moving in and bringing quite a bit of impacts up into Washington and Oregon, stretching over into Idaho and portions of the north and west. Let's get right over here into the model guidance and let's break down what it is we're looking at and what we believe is going to unfold throughout today on into tonight. It is, of course, a complicated forecast. We wouldn't want it any other way, would we? We're always up for a challenge. Rolling throughout today, high pressure bows off of the east coast, and then you can see it right here approaching from the west. By the time we roll into lunchtime, this is where the setup is going to be. Our southern stream system is going to be just to our south. Diving clipper system coming in here out of the north and west. We talked about this yesterday, folks, but the phasing process, or will it even occur? Guidance continues to keep these as two separate systems. The first one will hit us by early to mid-afternoon, and then we'll look at the secondary wave moving through here with an Arctic front as we work into the later part of tonight. Temperature profiles, folks, are going to be waffling throughout the column of the atmosphere. We are anticipating a variety of precipitation today, including, but not limited to, plain Jane rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. Why don't we just throw it all in there, right? Well, we need the whole 9 yards. So we progress throughout this afternoon. We get the initial arrival of the southern wave right here into our area. And then you'll see here, as we get into the overnight, here comes the Arctic front blowing in here out of the north and west. Now, there is something worth noting about why we are going to get this variety of precipitation. I want you to keep your eyes right here on the Kentucky and Tennessee border, okay? This is valid for temperatures at the 850 millibar level, also known as roughly 5,000 feet vertically suspended up above our head. As we roll into the lunchtime hour, note this warm nose of air punching in from the south and west. You can see it bowing right up here as we roll into the early and mid-afternoon hours. We're going to have the cold air suspended up above in place, and the warm air is trying to infiltrate right there at 5,000 feet up above our head. What this can result in is cutting in on the frozen precipitation, causing it to melt and then refreeze before it makes it to the ground. You need a column complete with sub-freezing temperatures in order for us to get the dendrites and the snowflakes developing and making it all the way to the ground. But with the warm nose punching in here from the south and west, we are going to be looking at a potential setup for a wintry mix of precipitation. This is the science behind the warm nose. The warm nose sticks in here and comes right into the air column. We broke this down yesterday, but you can see right there on the far side of the screen, it's all snow with a freezing layer completely present throughout the column. With a shallower layer of warm air, you get sleet, and with thicker layer of warm air, you go from freezing rain then over into plain Jane rain as well. This is exactly what we're going to be dealing with throughout this afternoon and potentially even into the early part of this evening. Let's go ahead and break it down. Here's the HRRR short-term guidance. We roll into lunchtime and we see the development down to our south and west with some of that wintry mix attempting to arrive. Between early and mid-afternoon is whenever we think precipitation will start. And folks, initially, with the temperatures we're seeing, we can initially see a nice little burst of light snow. And then as you can see here, by the time we roll into the latter part of the afternoon, a very fast transition over to that wintry mix of freezing rain and sleet, predominantly with some snowflakes mixing in as well. It keeps the wintry mix in place all the way through the early part of this evening. And then as we progress later into the overnight, here comes the secondary weather maker out of the north and west, and some scattered light snow showers is all that this thing squeezes out for us. This is the HRRR. Now let's look at the high-res NAM, okay? So we can bring this back. We can bring up the latest precipitation guidance. It is forecasting precipitation arriving a little bit sooner. So by the time we progress into the mid-morning hours and then we get into 10, 11 a.m., it has the initial round or burst of snow arriving. And then again, a very quick transition over to that wintry mix between early and mid-afternoon, continuing all the way through this evening. And then you see a little brief break right here, folks, with the initial wave moving out, the Arctic front moving in out of the north and west. We're going to have to watch this window very closely. Between roughly 7 to 9 p.m. tonight and then lasting through roughly midnight to 1 a.m., the break between the first wave and the second wave, some of the soundings have hinted at the possibility of some very light freezing drizzle taking place. Landon, why would you be concerned about that? Whenever freezing rain and falls at faster rates, it's more difficult to get the ice to accrete on objects and on roadways. Whenever it falls in much lighter nature, it doesn't have the physical forcing of heavier raindrops, and the drizzle is able to just coat and put a nice layer of just the lightest glaze of ice that can become slicker than a baby well. All right, so that's what we're talking about. Travel implications will be the primary result of what we're watching with this particular weather maker. Then we get into later part of the overnight whenever the Arctic front arrives, and then all the way through the pre-dawn hours of our Friday morning, and then taking over right after sunrise, we continue with some scattered light and moderate snow showers across the region before it finally loosens its grip as we get into our Friday. But we have to talk about another impactful result coming from this as well. Along with the Arctic front, folks, we're going to be looking at dangerously cold temperatures taking back over yet again. High temperatures on Friday should be achieved early during the day. We're going to be talking about single-digit lows, maybe lows to near 0 degrees again. By sunrise Saturday, sunrise Sunday, we could be looking at another wind chill advisory being issued as well. Whatever falls like this afternoon into the overnight is when we're going to see that deteriorating travel take over, okay? Now, talking about that, it is going to be a tough forecast of when travel will finally start to go downhill. Some of the short-term guidance, like the HRRR, look at what it does with temperatures. It jolts us all the way up, folks, between the mid and upper 30s by lunchtime. I think it might be overdoing it a few degrees. I think we might be down to around 33 or 34 degrees for a high, but if this warm nose gets up in here, we could be looking at travel impacts not being felt until later in the afternoon and evening. So we have higher confidence of travel impacts taking place by the time we roll into the late afternoon hours, but especially as we progress into the evening and through the overnight. And again, not to overuse the term especially, but the freezing drizzle window as we work into the early part of this evening until the latter part of the overnight, that could really lead to some rather slick conditions, to say the least. All right, so here we are looking at the possibility of ice accretion across the region. Short-term model guidance is liking the idea of this freezing rain and sleet sticking around for a while. That's not going to be bringing a lot in terms of snowfall. That's going to cut down on snow totals, but nonetheless, folks, we're not focused on amounts with this event. We're focusing on impacts. And as far as travel is concerned, it could even be worse than what we experienced a little bit earlier this week, all right? So the possibility of rising up to 1/10 of an inch of ice, an ice glazed on surfaces and on roadways as well, coming along with that. Bust around on top, a little light snow out there. Yeah, that's not going to be fun to drive on, regardless if you have four-wheel drive or not. That is an absolute promise. So getting a look here on top of that from our local National Weather Service office, they have the ice accumulation forecast there on the left, and then they have the snowfall on the right. Not expecting a lot, folks, but nice glaze of ice coming in here this afternoon into evening. Nice little dusting up to 1 inch of snowfall on top of that. Some localized areas might squeeze out even more along and east of I-65. Especially rolling past that, we are getting into the Arctic blast for this weekend. Minimum wind chill value Saturday morning, potentially falling down to 5 below zero, maybe 10 below zero. Could be even colder, folks, by sunrise on Sunday. We'll be watching this very closely. Open up the cabinets, let the faucets drip. The big fours of winter weather: people, plants, pipes, and pets. Follow the 4 Ps, make sure all that's taken care of. You will be in good shape. Here's a full breakdown of your next 5-day weather forecast. This morning, clouds steadily increasing. Scattered wintry mix arriving at some point between lunchtime on into mid-afternoon. A high of 33 degrees. So if models doesn't fulfill that and we only reach 31 or 32, we can see travel implications sooner. It will be a nowcasting event, folks, as we reach that time frame. Scattered light snow changeover overnight with a low of 20 degrees. Mid-20s on Friday, folks. The highs are basically going to be felt between, I think, mid-morning and midday. Falling throughout the afternoon and evening, single-digit lows throughout our Friday night. Highs in the upper teens for most on Saturday. Clouds will be breaking up to an extent. Another frigid, dangerously cold night Saturday. Sunday will warm up to near 30 with more sunshine, and then clouds on the increase Monday of next week with highs up into the lower 40s with rain chances following suit Monday night into Tuesday. Although you cannot see it, Tuesday afternoon highs right around the 50-degree mark. So going to make a whole lot of headway and improvement. That's a promise. That's going to wrap up your Thursday morning weather not forecast, brought to you by Ohio Valley Insurance. You all take care of yourselves and each other. Have a safe, blessed